Hi, and welcome back to Recap Cinema. Today, I'll talk about the next episode of The Silo. Gloria Hildebrandt sits on a beach, watching her husband and daughter play on the sand in a dream. A nurse injects Gloria with drugs and leaves. In her apartment, Juliet continues to read the book, and inside its cover, the name of a previous owner stands out, Gloria. Juliet checks her files and finds the one for Gloria and leaves her apartment. On her way out, she stops as she notices the fallen flower pot no longer in front of her mirror. In the surveillance room, the two technicians report to Sims and ask if they should detain her. Sims tells them to track her only. In her office, Juliet looks up Gloria's records to find that she is in long-term medical care. Billings arrives and tells her that maintenance is apologizing for breaking the vase in Juliet's apartment, and Mayor Bernard wants to see Juliet first thing. As she leaves, Deputy Molly Cairns calls Billings on the radio. Juliet goes to the long-term care ward to see Gloria. The nurse says she is suffering from hallucinations because of dementia. Some of the things Gloria says prompt Juliet to ask if she wants to go for a walk, but the nurse cannot allow that because Judge Meadows issued an order to keep Gloria in the facility. Billings receives a visit from his wife, bringing lunch to him. As he starts to take her for a coffee, a porter arrives with an urgent message for the sheriff. Billings tries to radio Juliet, but she turns off her radio as she demands to see Judge Meadows, although she is not in her office. Billings races down the stairs, calling all deputies to level 26. As they arrive, they are confronted with a mass brawl of civilians. Juliet arrives in the sheriff's office to find deputies locking up rioters. Billings angrily confronts Juliet about the situation, and he wants to know what is so important that Juliet is neglecting her duties and dishonoring the badge she is wearing. Juliet tells him George Wilkins was murdered and that everything is connected to that. She wants Billings to look the other way while she investigates. Using his knowledge of the pact, Billings gives her an official way to reopen the investigation into George's death, using the relic of his found in Trumbull's apartment as a factor. Juliet stops in the cafeteria when she sees the lights in the sky. Lucas Kyle arrives and they talk, where she learns that he is a systems analyst in the IT department. They talk and Lucas kisses her. Juliet pulls back and leaves. In her apartment, Juliet reads the book and finds a page on constellations. Juliet meets with Bernard, who reveals that he has been threatened by Judge Meadows for supporting Juliet. While Juliet believes the generator to be the most important part of the silo, Bernard points out that the ID servers control where the power goes to power actions such as watering crops and circulating the air. If Meadows was to get control of that, Bernard is afraid of what she will do. Juliet agrees to help him and goes to the judge's apartment. Meadows' apartment is full of relics, and she does not appear to be as sick as claimed. Juliet wants to know why the medical order is on Gloria and wants the judge to lift it for a few hours so she can talk to her without Gloria being drugged. If she does, then Juliet will be back in mechanical by the end of the week. Meadows says she cannot lift it because they will not let her. Juliet begins to realize that Meadows is not in charge, and as long as she keeps quiet, she is allowed to live in a good apartment. Sims is watching their meeting and asks the technicians to replay the conversation Juliet had with Gloria in medical, only to find their camera is obscured by flowers. Juliet goes to see her father and asks his help in getting Gloria out of long-term care long enough for the drugs to wear off so she can talk to her. Hesitatingly, Pete goes to long-term care and takes Gloria to the nursery in a wheelchair. Gloria is under the effect of a sedative that could take 5 or 6 hours to flush through her system. They don't have that long, so Pete says he can give her something that might work, but it has potential side effects. Juliet convinces him to administer it, but Gloria has a seizure which reminds Juliet of her own experiences with her brother as a child. The seizure stops and they wait for Gloria to wake up. Sims enters the monitoring room to find the technicians have listed Juliet on cameras. They last had her in medical, but she entered a blind spot. Sims angrily tells them to find her. Gloria wakes and is disorientated as Juliet begins asking her questions. Pete tries to help, but she is agitated by him since he was her doctor, and Gloria believes that he was the reason she never had a baby. Juliet tells Pete to leave while she tries to get answers from Gloria. Juliet shows Gloria the book, revealing that she was part of an organization known as the Flame Keepers, a group dedicated to remembering and preserving the past. But they were opposed by the Silo, who put something in the water to cause memories to fade and erase the past. The relics are meant to help them remember. After Gloria and her husband Henry were unable to have children, Gloria gave the book to George's mother, named Anne. Gloria realizes that Juliet is Hannah Nichols' daughter, and that Anne was helping her with a magnifying device, and that she was surprised that Hannah was allowed to have children and was not even sure that she was a flame keeper or not. Juliet talks with Pete, and she is angry that he lied to his patients, and Pete tells her that when they came to him to order this, it was to prevent genetic disease from running rampant. Sims and the technicians watch as Juliet wheels Gloria back to her room. Sims angrily tells the technicians to find out where they came from and to keep track of the sheriff. In the room, Gloria sees that her flowers are gone and remembers that Sheriff Becker put them there in front of the mirror. Juliet begins to realize a connection between this and the flowers in her own apartment. She realizes that they can see them through the mirrors and asks Gloria if Holston did anything else in the room. Gloria tells her that he paid attention to the vent in her room. Covering the mirror, Juliet opens the vent and finds a bag with George's hard drive in it. Sims, realizing that she knows about the cameras, sends a raiders to medical. Gloria tells Juliet that she is the last Flamekeeper now and asks her if she knows why her mother killed herself. As the raiding team enter Gloria's room, asking where Juliet is, Gloria just stares back at them. In a flashback, Hannah and Juliet meet with a man in the middle of the farms and trade a bottle of pills for a rabbit. Juliet is excited, but is told that it is not a pet. Juliet also notes that the rabbit seems sick. The judicial raid team searches the medical for Juliet, who is hiding out in the nursery. Sims goes to see Gloria and promises to not stand between her and her dreams if she cooperates. Gloria wants to know why she should trust him, and Sims tells her that she is the reason that he has his son, because she helped procure folic acid for Sims' wife. Gloria tells Sims what he wants to know. As he leaves, Sims tells the nurse to ensure that Gloria gets the good stuff every day. Sims briefs his team on capturing Juliet, indicating that she has a red level relic. In the nursery, Juliet takes the hard drive from the bag and plugs it into one of the computers there. However, the terminal is not authorized to open a drive. In flashback, Hannah explains that she believes the rabbit has a hole in its heart, like her brother. She plans to use a magnifying device to fix it up and starts surgery with the intention of helping people in the silo. Juliet is awoken in the nursery by a radio call from Paul Billings, telling her to come to the sheriff's office. When she arrives, she finds judicial agents searching it, acting on orders from Judge Meadows to find unsanctioned relics. Billings notes that their search is a violation of the pact. Juliet remembers watching Judicial search their quarters as a child. Hannah and Pete argue about the device, with Hannah blaming Pete for potentially telling Judicial about the device since only he and Juliet knew about it. Pete counters that she has not been subtle about having parts for it delivered to their apartment and begs her to give up the unsanctioned device before Judicial tears their home apart. Hannah surrenders the device and the Judicial agent smashes it in front of them. Judicial concludes their search, including of Juliet's bag. Once they leave, Juliet confides in Billings that she does not think that Meadows is behind the search. She believes that Sims is, and that he will not stop until Juliet is either dead or in jail. Billings notes that Judicial missed several steps in their action, causing Juliet to go and arrest Sims for the illegal search. With Sims out of his office, Juliet takes the opportunity to look through his things, finding files on Shirley Campbell, Martha Walker, and Hannah Nichols. Juliet goes to see her father and wants to know why her mother wanted to build a magnifier. Having found her mother's file, she knows that Pete was not responsible for turning Hannah into Judicial and apologizes to him. A nurse enters saying maintenance is insistent on checking the vents, but no one called a work order. Juliet believes he is there to install a camera in the nursery since it's a blind zone, and retrieves the hard drive, intending to take it to Martha Walker. Juliet tries to get to mechanical but finds that Judicial has set up a checkpoint on the stairs. In the sheriff's office, Sims makes the deputies uneasy by asking for coffee and use of the radio. Billings returns to his apartment for dinner, but a shiver attack due to the syndrome causes him to drop the plates. Martha receives a message from Pete telling her Juliet is on her way, but she is over an hour late. Martha steps outside her workshop for the first time in years, calling for someone. When no one answers, Martha prepares to leave the doorway until Shirley arrives. Martha explains that Juliet is late and to notify her if Juliet arrives. In the cafeteria, Lucas is watching the screens when a porter arrives with a message from Juliet. As he goes to meet her, she asks him to help her access the hard drive. Lucas is reluctant to work on something he is not authorized to until Juliet reveals the existence of the cameras and sensors in their homes. Lucas worries about his mother and refuses to help. Juliet and Lucas leave the apartment just as a judicial raiding team arrive. Juliet tries to get past the checkpoint on the stairs, but the agent refuses without a bag search. Bernard arrives and saves Juliet. Bernard wants to know why she arrested Sims, so Juliet lays out that Judicial is planning to take over, but Sims is behind it, not Meadows. Bernard takes them to a private place to talk. In the middle of the farm, Bernard slips up and mentions the hard drive in front of Juliet. Sims arrives and she becomes aware that the conspiracy is more than just Sims. Meadows is not afraid of Sims, but Bernard. Threatened with being sent out, Juliet runs and is chased by judicial agents. She is caught and arrested. Shirley tells Martha that Juliet has requested to be sent out, witnessed by the mayor. Martha doesn't believe it though. Billings leads Juliet up the stairs and has a tremor attack, allowing Juliet to break free and jump down. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more.